So, in the previous class, we studied about Unit 2, that was Evolution of Human Society, its nature and characteristics. So, we covered various topics, how human society has evolved. We have also studied the evolution theory. Then, we have studied about Auguste Comte and his stages. We have studied about society as a system of social relationship, also about some definitions given by some sociologists. We also covered characteristics of society and how individual plays an important role in the society. We also studied about some theories related to the relationship between man and society. Also about the process of socialization, that how it is a learned way of conveying your uh, thoughts and culture between the generation, how it is a learned process and it is a step by step process. We also studied about the various agencies involved in socialization, like family, religion, peer groups. Now we'll study about the other process of society and individual taking a role in society, that is social process. So there's a social process where an individual takes place and where an individual interact and communicate with the other person or the people in the society. So social processes are of different kinds. We'll study today about social interaction. We'll study about the forms of social interaction and social control and social change as form of social processes, right? So what is social interaction in general words, in a layman language? What do you think about what a social interaction is in very normal language? Can anyone tell me? Hidayatullah, what is social interaction in a normal language? Yes, anyone? Hidayatullah. Okay, Nasreen. Nasreen Ahmadi, I want you on screen. Yes, Nasreen, tell me. What do you mean by social interaction?
Teacher, I had some exams and I couldn't study.
It is okay if you are not able to study. I am
Sorry.
trying to know what do you mean by interaction. Just tell me, what do you mean when I say interaction? What do you understand by this word? Yes, Siddharthullah.
Interactions between two individuals, uh,
Yes.
which
Yes.
they have, is called social interaction, I think.
Yes. In a very layman language, in a very simple language, if I say interaction is when you communicate with the other person, when two or more person communicate with each other, that is an interaction in a very layman language. And when it's called social interaction, it is a process where two or more people communicate with each other, definitely, but they have a meaningful contact or they have a communication which has an objective, which has an aim. There must be some aim to communicate, or there must be a meaningful contact between each other. You don't interact with each other just for saying hi or hello. No, you have an objective, you have an aim. That is what social interaction is. You discuss various social processes, you discuss various social uh, problems that occurs, the hindrances in the society that is there. So when we say social interaction, we say it is a meaningful contact, it is an aimful contact, it is a contact which has certain objective, right? So there are two kinds of social interaction. When we study about social interaction, they are of two kinds, okay? One is contact and one is communication, right? When What do you mean by contact? Contact necessarily requires a material or sensory medium. It not it need not, of course, require the impingement of one body directly upon another, but it does require the occurrence of direct or indirect sensory stimulation between the interacting parties. So, contract, when you say contact, that means you have a sensory stimulation. One person has a sensory stimulation, has sensory, have behaviors, have their minds, have their brain, and have their nerves interacting with the other person. When I say sensory stimulation, that means your senses, the use of your senses, like eyes, like like your brain, like your mouth, like your lips. So you do have a sensory interaction, that you are there with each other, even by way of online or offline, but you have a contact with each other, right? So when we say social interaction, it is very easy to understand in a way that they have a contact with each other. Interaction means when people have a meaningful contact. So contact means, when we say what the types of interactions are contact and communication. So when we say contact, we say it is a sensory stimulation, or it is a contact where people have meaningful uh, you know interaction between each other, or meaningful contact with each other, to discuss anything, or to when they have they uses their sensory organs, they uses their handshakes, they handshake with each other, or they have physical contacts when they stand with each other, and they're discussing something, or their eyes goes up. These kind of contacts are called contact in terms of social interaction. Then the other word is communicative interaction. So the social behavior of human beings consists of acquired responses to the meaningful responses of others. So human interaction, in other words, is communicative interaction, that we communicate with each other, and how we communicate with each other, whether by speech, whether by our gestures, our body language, our postures. We can express each other when we are in communication through our online modes. We do tend to send some emojis, and we try to communicate with the other person through some emojis, so that they can understand the emotion behind our communication. We also communicate to face, and while face to face communication, we tend to speak with each other. We tend to give certain body postures or gesture, that they try to understand what and the other person is feeling, or what the emotions the other person has. So when we talk about interaction, it involves contact, it involves communication, right? Then there are forms of social interactions, right? Types, when I said types, they were contact and communication. When I say different forms of social interaction, so one such form is conflict. The conflict process is it develops whenever a person or group seeks to gain a reward, not by surpassing other competitors, but by preventing them from effectively competing. It is formally defined as the process of seeking to obtain awards by eliminating or weakening the competitors. So when you have conflicts, you it doesn't mean that you want to just fight with the other person. It can be also like you want to compete with each other, and in the process of effectively competing with each other, in a process of competition, sometimes what happens is other party feels weakened, or the other party feels that I have been eliminated with this process, or this process is becoming a negative process for me. So sometimes small conflicts can also occur, but that doesn't mean it has to be necessary be in the shape of aggressiveness or angriness, or it has to be in the shape of fights. Conflicts can also occur when whatever you want to seek in a party, or in a part, like for example, in an organization you're working, right? And you want to obtain certain level of position and you cannot obtain, so what you do is you compete with that person effectively, and you do tend to have certain cold wars, right? But you cannot speak because you are a part of an organization, or you cannot fight with them because that might hamper your own position. So when we say forms of social interaction, it is, one is conflict. So when there are two types of conflict, right? One is direct conflict, when individual or groups destroy one another in an effort to attain some goal. That is when direct conflict occurs. As I just said, it is not just it does not only mean to fight or have any bigger consequences, right? So it can have a direct conflict in a way that one person wants to have a certain position, or one person wants to become better than the other person. Why? To attain some goal. Like you want to become the head of your school, or you want to become the principal of your college. So there are certain direct conflicts which can happen, and it is in a kind of an effective competition that can also happen, and it is a direct conflict. Why? Because you know that one person want to attain that position, and you know that person want to become the head of that of that chair. So there is a direct conflict. Now there are indirect conflict, when individual or groups do not actually impede the efforts of one another but nevertheless seek to attain their ends, right, in such a way that obstruct the attainment of the other person. Like indirect, when we say indirect conflict, in a you know school or in a college, there is a competition of mm, uh, competition between two people. There's a sports competition, you definitely know that one person will win and one person will lose, but then also one party will try to create such obstruction or such hindrances that the other parties does not win. But directly he'll not show that I want to win this sports game, he won't show that I want this position, but he try to do certain things which makes his competitors lose, right? So that is kind of an indirect conflict. Then we have talked about one form of social interaction, that is conflict. The other is competition. You know what a competition is, right? When you want to achieve some desired goal, and there is a there is a person or a competitor in front of you who also wants to achieve that goal, so there is a competition with you. So that is a type of social interaction. Sometimes interaction happens because there are conflicts, sometimes interaction also happens because there is competition between between two people. Sometimes interaction happens when there is cooperation. So third part is cooperation. In a very normal language, why we interact with people, because there are certain common goals or shared objectives that we have, and we want to cooperate with the other person. For example, in an organization, the subordinate wants to cooperate with his head and wants to achieve a desired goal. So in that way, a team wants to achieve a goal, so they cooperate with each other to win that match. So in that way they interact with each other, they have a motive to interact with each other, right? So there are two types of cooperation: direct cooperation and indirect. So in direct cooperation, we include all those activities in which people do like doing things together, right? Like play together or worship together. Simple. And in indirect cooperation, we include all those activities in which people do unlike tasks but are directed towards a single end. Like now, in indirect cooperation, this is an example which I gave of an organization. Like uh, The head will have a different task, the subheads will have different tasks, the employees will have different tasks, but their goal will be same, right? But in direct cooperation, like it is like a cricket team that they will play together, they have to directly cooperate with each other to win that goal, right? So they all of them will give the same energy to win that goal, and there is no heads or subhead. There might be a captain, but other than that, all people have one objective, and that is to win that goal. Now, assimilation. Okay, whenever groups meet, some mutual interchange or diffusion of culture takes place. So assimilate, when you say assimilate, means involve, means diffuse, include, right? So assimilation is a form of social interaction where mutual uh, interchange is happening, or where a culture, especially where there are two culture and that diffuses into one. Even groups who seek to prevent such diffusion do not fully succeed in protecting their culture from all cultural interchange. This process of mutual culture diffusion, through which persons and groups come together to share a common culture. So, when, for example, I'm from India and I have a different culture, and you are from Afghanistan, you have a different culture, and we tend to interact with each other by sharing our culture, by sharing the information of our culture, by telling I will be telling you about my culture, you will be telling me about your culture. So when we share, when we come together, right, when we diffuse each other's culture, and then we kind of try to form a common culture, kind of try to form a group where we can interact with each other by assimilating our cultures. So that is part of a assimilation. When, the biggest example of affiliation, if I remember, can be marriages. When a bride goes to the house of the groom, so she has different culture, right? Then she goes to the house of the groom, they might have different culture as well, right? So she diffuses herself into their culture, and that becomes now that culture becomes a common part of their interaction as well. So that is what assimilation is. Now, the next topic is social control. Am I audible to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Next is social control, right? So what do you mean by social control? See, social control means the way in which the entire social order coheres and maintains itself, how it operates as a whole, as a changing equilibrium, right? So what social control means? It means through which people are led to fill their roles as expected. There is a kind of norms, there are kinds of what you say, uh, values, norms, rules, regulation that exist. And when you say social control, it means where people know about their roles, people know about what their norms are, and it is expected from people that they follow their rules, that they follow their norms, right? That they follow the social order within which people interact, that they know how you have to interact with the other person. For example, in a social control, you should know how to interact with the principal of the college, and thus you should know how to interact with your colleagues, you should know to interact with your teacher. So social control is a mean, is a way where people are led to fill their roles as expected. So when we say about social order, when I say about there's a kind of social order which people have to follow, do I mean by it? I say it is a system of people, or a relationship, or the customs that operate to accomplish the work of a society. Like there are certain customs of marriages that are needed to follow when we do a marriage. So there is a social order that is there, where people where there are people, there are certain relationships, and you have to give the importance to each relationship accordingly, and there's an order that you have to follow to give the importance also. uh, there are such, there will be certain rules, there will be certain customs in a marriage, so that would be these social controls, right? Then when we study about social control, we study about these processes like social control through socialization, right? So people are controlled mainly by being socialized. See, socialization, as I earlier explained, patterns of behaviors or learned way of behavior, where you know how to socialize with people, how to interact with people by way of learned behaviors. You have a motive to interact with them, you have an objective to interact to them, right? So people are controlled mainly by being socialized, so that they fill their roles in expected ways. So when you interact with the head of the family, there's a kind of control, that there's a kind of role that is given to you, that you need to uh, socialize, or you need to uh, communicate with the head of the family in a different manner. When you have a relationship with your sibling, you have different rules. So when we say social control, we say that we do have our controls, we do have our rules that are expected from us, so that we have to behave it in a certain way with the described positions, right? We have to behave in a certain manner, and we are controlled in that way, that we are controlled in a way that uh, our socialization has to be in a way controlled, and in a way limited, so that we know how to interact with the other members of the society, right? So when we say, how do women in our society tend to give greater emphasis on their family, and how do men tend to shoulder responsibility of their offspring? So when we say that men have majority of men have responsibility of their children or of their wives, and why we say that women have roles in handling the family, so there is kind of a control or a role or a norm that has been emphasized within the society, right? So in that way, social control happens through socialization. Now social control also happens through group pressures. Like, if we say about groups, so there are primary groups and secondary group, we all know that. So when social control happens through primary groups, right, it is informal. Why? Because we know primary groups are basic groups, like our family groups, like our peer groups. So when social control happens through primary group, it is informal, it is very spontaneous. Think about a family. So when social control happens, it is informal, it is very spontaneous and unplanned. The members of the group react to the actions of each member, right? Like in a family. Then when I said the control happens to secondary, it is a very effective control. Why? What are the secondary groups? What are our secondary groups? Hidayatullah, what do you mean by when I say secondary groups? Anyone else? Nuria? Yes, Nasreen.
Secondary group, like our this class.
Yes, yes. So that is why this class is a secondary group, right? So social control in this class will be very effective control. Like, we will have very formal meetings, okay? We will not gossip about each other, right? We will not laugh on any random things. No, we will have a formal way of communication, right? That is why social uh, control through secondary group is very controlled one, effective control. And through primary, because in primary group you think about your family, so it is very unplanned, very spontaneous. You giving one answer, the sibling will be giving you another example, right? Now there is social control through force. So many societies, they try to control the behavior of individuals. Like they will tell you that you don't have to wear these things, you don't have to go outside, you don't have to eat this, or you don't have to sleep like this. So there will be very very forceful norms and regulations that would be taking place. So social control happens through force also, right? Now the next one is, we will talk about social change, concept and factors involved in social change. Now the concept of social change was introduced by Auguste Comte, right? He was known, Auguste Comte, he is known as the father of sociology, right? He later on gave the concept of social change, and then this concept was refined by Herbert Spencer, right? So, wait. Now, what does Auguste Comte have to say about social change? Let's study. Auguste Comte says societies progress through a series of predictable stages based on the development of human knowledge. So he says social change is there when society progresses, when there is progress, when there is change in the society, right? And that change is based on the development, like social development, economical development, infrastructure or technology development. Then Anderson and Parker says that social change involves alteration in the structure or functioning of social forms or processes themselves. So Anderson and Parker was of the view that social change involves alterations. Of course, alteration means uh, certain kind of inputs or outputs, right, in the structure, so that we can function progressively. Now, Davis was of the view that by social change, it is meant only such alterations, only such involvement or inputs has occurred in social organization, that is structure and function of society, right? So those kind of alterations should be there where there is proper structure and where there are proper functions of the society. Now, so that is social change. So we can understand when what do you mean by change, that there is a progress, there is another way of doing things. And when we say social change, we say that the society tends to progress, we say that society tends to uh, uh, have a development process, and that is where social change take place. Now there are concept of social progress and social development, right? So social progress is a relative term in that sense that to some people changes in daily living, social functions, social relationships, attitudes and values may mean progress. So when they say about social progress, it means that there are changes, and those changes are progressive and positive changes, and those changes are in the daily lives of people, right? So daily lives of people become better, they have a good standard living, so that is a social progress. When people have good social relationships, when people have good attitudes, they have good values, that is a social progress, right? Now McLever and Page was of the view that by progress or by social progress we imply not only a direction but direction towards some fine goal or a final goal, a direction towards some destination. So they said that progress doesn't have to only uh, be in a direction, that you are going in one direction and you are progressing in that way. No, that direction should be uh, defined by a goal, that you achieve that goal. that direction should have a destination, and you try to achieve that destination. So that is what social progress is, right? Now there is social development. Social development, the concept of social development means that structural changes introduced deliberately to transform it. There are structural changes that happens in the society. That is what social development is. Can anyone give me the example of social development where a structural change has happened? Listen to me very carefully. Give me the example of a social development where a structural change has happened in the government or in the policy, right? Which has benefited the uh, society or the children or the women. Any example of a social development? Shabnam, Hidayatullah, Shabnam, please give me an example. Any structural change that was introduced in your society that has helped to, social progress, or that has helped in changing the nature of society. Any development? See, whenever. Yes, Shabnam.
Like, ma'am, like giving the woman the right of education. That's a social
Yes,
development.
development. Yes, exactly. So when we talk about social development, we say that the living conditions of people become better. They do not have to suffer from hunger, or they do not have to be, they are not denied the basic necessities of life. So when, as Shabnam said, that women gets the right to educate, so that's a social development, right? Where structural changes happen, where there are changes in the laws, in the policy, and there are reform system that exist that changes the societies, right? That is social development. So therefore the goals of social developments are to create a society where living conditions of people are better, to remove regional imbalances and rural urban disparities, to create infrastructure where basic needs of people are met, right? Now there are factors of social change. So, as I said, social change was introduced by August Comte, and social change means there are social progress. There is a alteration in the structure. There is a progress happening. There is a change happening that is towards the benefit of the society, towards the benefit of the development of the society. So there are uh, factors involved in social change. So there is physical environment. Obviously, the most important aspect will be the impact of your physical environment or your social life, right? This, like for example, if there is a disaster that take place, or there is a flood that is that comes, or earthquakes occur, so there is any volcanic eruption, so obviously your physical environment will be impacted in a very negative way. So in that case, social change will not be that progressive, right? Social change won't happen in a very positive way. Now there are demographic factors. Like demography, when we say, means the human population, like the demography of Afghanistan. So we need to study the population, human population of Afghanistan, right? So when we say demographic factor, it means population. It means your demographies, your human population, right? So if there are how social change occurs in your population, like there are patterns of marriage, right? There's migration that happens, people migrate, people change their demographies, right? Now there might be changing age structure, the sex ratio might change, right? The age of marriage might change. So right? So these kind of social change happens in your in the human population, right? Like life expectancies take a such like migration. Now there are technological factors. Obviously, when it comes to technology, like now we have started studying through online, so it is kind of a social change. The way we communicate has changed. Now the way industry works has changed. There are many AI application, artificial intelligent applications that are coming. So social change in the form of technological change has been taking a very positive uh, path, right? Now, firstly, I'll cover the limitation of social change. So there are certain limitation of social change, right? Like sometimes it is of complex nature. Sometimes social, when societies are destroyed by certain mindsets, or when there is a leader in your society that says we'll ban Twitter, we'll ban Facebook, no one will be allowed to do this and that. So it can also take up uh, you know the social change can also be complex. Sometimes it doesn't mean it has to be positive. When there are floods, when there are drought, when there are people are facing water issues, so that change can be complex in nature. Like now social change is pluralistic. Like how it the social change has an impact on not only the individual but also to the society. So it is not singular, it is pluralistic. Like social change, if an individual is impacted, also the society is also impacted. It consists of many individuals. Now social change can also bring social isolation in certain cases, like I said, earthquake, or you say flood. So when that kind of social change is there, then people might become isolated. They might lose their loved ones and they might become isolated. Hence, social change brings uncertainties, right? Now, social change in certain situations brings conflict. Obviously, when there will be a policy formed towards the progress of the society, there might be different conflicts. So if a leader wants to bring any social change or progress, but that leader faces a backlash from the society, so there might be a conflict, right? It may also lead which may also lead to social disintegration, and it is very difficult to predict the outcome of social change because it can be progressive also and non-progressive also. Now, there are two more concepts, that are social attitudes and social values. So, when we say social attitudes is an orientation towards a people, towards a person, situation, or an institution or a social process that is held to be indicated of underlying values and beliefs. So, it is manifested to social behavior and social relationships. So, what is a social attitude? See, we have our attitude, right? We say we are calm in nature, we have a calming attitude, or we have a angry attitude. That is uh, a very normal way of defining an attitude. But when it comes to social attitudes, so we have our social behavior, like in real life as an individual we are very introvert, right? But when we go out and when we socialize, we become extrovert, or when we start talking to people. So what do you mean by social attitudes? Means that our social behavior is there. We have a social behavior, right? We do have certain relationships and we do have certain social functioning. So they are constantly being modified by our training, our reflection, our health, and our circumstances. So our social attitudes will be dependent upon how our society has worked, or our norms, our regulation, how we are trained to react in a society, how we reflect with each other, right? It also depend upon our health. See, if our health is good, so our social attitude towards a person will be very positive. We kind of tell them that yes, you can do these things to improve your health, right? So social attitude, if we say, it is a way, it is a living, it is an process to towards what, towards a person, towards a situation. So it is kind of our values, our beliefs, how we behave in the social arena. Now this there the other concept is social values. So social values are ideas held by the members of society. So some societies will tell you that this is wrong and this is right. So values are always defined by the society. They will tell you that uh, if you wear this or if you eat this, you will be called as a good person or a right person. And if you don't do this, you will be undesirable. So social values are always constructed by the society. They are kind of norms, ethical norms or regulations that are told by the society. And if you fit in that norms, then you will be termed as right or wrong. So values are some uh, you know, rules and regulation by the members of society. Now these are the features of social values, that these cannot be proved, of course. If one person of your uh, for example, if I say that being silent in the class is good for you all, so is it, can you prove this, or is it a good value? No. You will say being silent doesn't mean that we are listening to you, ma'am. Being silent can also mean that we are not interested in your class. So there are certain social values that I can give, say that as a member of the society, I can define a norm for you. As a teacher, I can define a norm for you, but I cannot prove that norm. Or that doesn't mean that these norms are desirable, that these construction of my ethics to you are right. So they are guided, and social values are are guides to social behavior. Obviously, when you are defined about what is wrong and what is right, that will guide you to uh, towards a social behavior, that how you should behave with other people. These grow out of personal experiences. So that doesn't mean that you have a personal experience and that is why you follow certain social value. No, the other person can also define a social value for you and you have to follow that, right? So if we talk about in the present day, the important social values are, or you can say, the defined social values by certain members of the society in today's world are: first, achievement and success. You know, your value, your social values are sometimes defined by how much you have achieved in your life or how successful you are. Sometimes your values are also defined by your work, your activities, you know, your moral responsibilities. It is also defined by uh, concern, your concern for the people who are suffering, like whether you are a good social worker or not. So they can define your social value in that scenario. Value, whether you are morally responsible towards the society, towards your environment, towards your elders or not, right? Your social values are also defined by your progress, right? Sometimes by your material comfort, like people will say, oh, this person has a good house and a good wealth, and that's why his or her value is social values are more. But that is not true, you know. So but in present society, these are kinds of values where people define you, right? Your values are also definitely will be defined by the freedom you have, the independence to work, independence to go anywhere you want to, your nationalism, your love for your country, your patriotism, and the democracy values you have, the freedom you have, the liberty you have. So these in the present society, if we say, these are kind of social values where people kind of define you uh, with the profession that whether you have a social value or not, right? So here I end today's topic. Anyone wants to know anything? Now I think the last unit will be there to cover, or I think I have covered the it's yeah, social control is left, and then we will come to block 2. How many classes are given to you? Yes, please reply. How many classes are left? Hidayatullah, are you able to hear me? At least say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. Come on screen, everyone. I think this is a high time that I am saying. Switch on your cameras now. Switch on to your cameras. Come on, everyone. Nasreen, Nuria, Shabnam, Hasina, Hidayatullah, Musgan. Nasreen, are you able to understand what I taught you? Are you able to understand, Nasreen, what I have taught you? Nasreen, switch on your camera. Oh, uh, unmute yourself. Unmute. Nasreen, first unmute yourself. Yes.
I'm sorry. Yes, I noticed it.
Are you able to understand the topics that I am saying? I am explaining.
Yeah, yeah.
Or there are certain confusions? You know what you have to do is when I teach you, you have to go through your notes that has been provided to you to understand that thing in depth, and then come to the next class and ask questions, right, Nasreen?
Yes.
Because this is a very
Uh,
complex paper. Yes, you do have these notes, right? So these are very complex. This is a very complex paper. You know, it uh, it explains the ground of what a society is. So you have to definitely read out to that to understand more, right? Nuria, okay, mute yourself, Nasreen. Nuria, did you get what I explained?
Yes, ma'am.
Hidayatullah, Shabnam, please come to screens. Hasina. Ah, yes, Nuria. So are you getting?
Yes, ma'am. I get it.
Is there any social value in your society, Hasrina? Hmm? That defines you, that any social value that is given to you, and people are trying to tell you that this is wrong and this is right. Nuria? Yes, Nuria.
Ma'am.
Is there any social value you want to tell me?
Social value. I don't know, ma'am. I'm sorry.
What is social value, Nuria? There are, I said you, there are, these are norms. These are certain ideas that are given by the society, and they try to tell you that this is wrong, this is not wrong, this is desirable, or this is undesirable. In simple words, see, if the society defines you with the way you look or with the way you wear something, and they tell you that if you wear this it is right, and if you don't wear this then you are ethically wrong. So social values are those values that the members of the society gives you, and they depict that this is right or these are wrong. So you can say they are shared beliefs, a belief that a society believe in, right? A norm that a society believes in. Nasreen, can you tell me any social value now? Nasreen, unmute yourself. Just try to tell me anything.
Teacher, I should study more.
Sorry,
I should study more.
I'm not able to get you. Nuri, can you hear what she's trying to say? Nasreen, did you say you have not understood this?
Yes, I should study.
It's not? Sorry, I'm not getting your voice. Have you understood what a social value is?
I know a little, but I should more study. I should study more.
You have to read it and then you will tell me.
Yes.
Hidayatullah, please come on screen and tell me a social value where society has depicted about what is wrong and what is right for you people. Hidayatullah, please come on screen. Hasina, Shabnam, switch on your cameras. Hidayatullah, Nasreen is there, Nuria is there. Hasina, switch on your camera. Shabnam, I won't take today's attendance now. Only Nasreen and Nuria will get today's attendance. Hidayatullah, please switch on your camera. Shabnam has left. Good. Only 5 people are getting attendance today. Hasina, are you there? Are you there, Hasina? Hasina, are you there? No, they are not even there. I think they're just. Hidayatullah, he's also not there. Muskan. Muskan. Yes, Nuria.
Ma'am, respect is a social value or not? Maybe respect is.
Yes, yes, it can be defined as a social value for sure. Because sometimes people define you by saying that you should give respect to elders, more respect to
Yeah.
elders. So, definitely, it is a social value. Good, goodness,
Thank
Nuria. Shabnam, have you joined again?
What, ma'am? Didn't go.
Nuria, I want to ask you one question. Please come on screen. Uh,
Yes, ma'am.
am are you able to understand what am I teaching?
Yes, ma'am. We're trying to understand.
Okay, so do you get it by like 60-70% what I teach to you?
Excuse me, ma'am. I don't get it.
I am trying to say that do you get what I'm teaching you? If you have to define it out of 100%, do you even get 70% or 80% of what I teach?
Yes, ma'am. I repeat these chapters in my in home.
And you get what I teach.
Yes, yes, ma'am. I'm
Okay.
here trying.
So, okay, you are trying. That's good. So, why are not other people are joining the classes? Is there the same ratio in other classes also, Noria?
I think there's an internet connection problem because in Afghanistan today is very rainy day. There's snow, so maybe
Okay.
for the weather they are not
So,
coming in the meeting.
did an other class also happen today? Any other class was there in the morning?
I don't know, ma'am.
Okay, no. Okay, okay. Okay. Thank you, Noria.
Yep.
Yes, Nasreen.
Yes.
Why is the attendance so short in these classes? Is it the same for the other classes also, Nasreen?
Uh, I don't have your voice, teacher.
Okay, it's okay, Nasreen. Thank you so much. Shabnam. Shabnam.
Yes, miss.
Yes, please tell me why there is so much shortage of people in the classes.
Miss, in every class we have least, I mean, a few members. They're joining.
Okay.
I mean, not
Every
all
class,
of
this
them
is
are
the same
joining.
scenario.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So, do you understand what I teach, Shabnam?
Yes,
Because it is very
100%.
important for me. Okay, thank you. Because it is very important for you to understand. This is very important.
Yes,
My
miss, we know
objective
your
was to
subject.
take. Yes, okay. So, other classes are going good?
That's good, but Ma'am Chabidubi, I think it's her name, our teacher. We doesn't get from her that much. I mean, we cannot get what she's saying. She actually do
Okay,
not explain that much.
okay, okay. Hello, Nuria's daughter. Is she your daughter or your son, Nuria? You know, in one of my class, what happened? Someone's daughter or someone's child, they opened the audio and said, "Ma'am, when is this class getting over? Please, I want to eat something." So these kind of things happen in my class.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
This is my son.
guys. Okay, okay. Congratulations. So now, in other class, we'll try to cover the block two. Now, before starting the next block, I will give you a brief in the next class also. What topics we have covered till now, and what block we have covered, and what are the units. So please be there in the next class so at least you get to know the topics that we have covered, right? And then you can ask me any questions. Write down your queries, write down in the group, ma'am, please explain this again, and I will explain that topic again before starting the next block. Don't worry, Nasreen. Just go through whatever I have taught you. I'll send this PPT in your group. I have sent the PPT, right? Yes, I will send the PPT even today, and just try to see what topics I have covered. Then go through your material, and if you find anything important to ask me in the next class. Then we'll start the next block. Okay? Is
Okay.
it okay? Okay, don't worry, Nasreen. I want you to smile in my class. I don't want you to have that worrisome look that you are worried about what is happening or what is not, right? It might be your, yeah. So we will explain again if you want me to explain any other topic, and then we will start the next block, okay? Hasina Shoje has joined. After an hour, Hasina has joined. Welcome, Hasina. Okay, so next we will be starting block 2. See, I will tell you one thing. Wait, I will tell you one thing. You are able to see my screen, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, are you able to see these blocks? Introduction to society. Are you able to see this collection in the community? Block 1, block 2, block 3, block 4. Are you able to
I
see
see.
this screen?
No, we can't see.
No, wait, then wait,
Moment.
wait. Wait. This is the window. Now see. Now are you able to see this?
Yes.
Yes. So this is your course, that is BSW122, Society,
Yes.
Social Institution and Social Problems. We were there in block 1. Now are you able to see this block?
Yes.
Block 1, it says Unit 1,
Yes.
Unit 2 we have covered, and Unit 3 and Unit 4 we have covered. Social Change Unit 4. See this today,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
this Unit 5 is only left. Then we will move to Block 2.
Yes.
Okay? And we will study these institution of marriage and family, society and culture, social stratification as a concept in society, and the state as a social institute. That what is a part of a state as a
Yes.
social institution, right? Then we will go to block 3 and we will study the concept of marriage and family, marriages in India, society, culture, religion, and family values. We will cover the marital life and roles and expectation. Very simple. They are very simple to study. Then we will go with social problems, block 4. See, you can see here, right?
Yes.
We will study about contemporary, that is today's social problems and social defense. Now you get to know. So these are very small topics, and I will try to give you more examples if you want from the next slide so you can understand and write down those examples, okay? So you don't have to worry. We'll just cover the unit 1 and we'll start with block 2. Sorry, we have just covered the block 1 and we'll start with block 2 tomorrow, and there are 4 blocks. Okay? Now, right.
It's maybe all of units.
Sorry?
Will you study all of units?
Yes. Nasreen, yes. Means block 1 has 4 units. You have to study
Yes.
that. Then block 2 will also have 4 to 5 units. Then another block 3. So
Yes,
this
I
paper
know.
is a very vast and complex paper, if I say. It is very vast because you have to study the how society evolves and what are the various concepts in societies and what are the institutions, various institutions like marriages and family and different you know concepts in society. That is why it is very huge. All right,
Yes.
that's why I try to give you examples so that you can understand each topic. Like social value, I try to tell social change. See, Nasri, when it comes to social change, it is kind of a change or a progress a society makes, right? In simple language, like a social change. For example, if the government of India introduces women reservation bill, so that is kind of a social change, right? That is kind of a social change that will be there if your government introduces any bill for women reservations, or any bill that, or any policy for women empowerment. That is a social change. There might be conflicts also when social change happens. People would say no, you don't have to give empowerment to women, and some people will say no, you have to give empowerment. So there will be conflicts. So now you will know how I taught you these concepts, like,
Yes.
okay. So when it's come to social development, it means policy changes, structural changes. like you give from 20% to 30% you give reservation to women in parliament in elections. So that is a social development, right? If you start building infrastructure from coming to from Afghanistan to India, that is a social development, is a structural change, right? Right.
Yes.
That right. Now, are you trying to understand these concepts?
I thought read them.
Okay, read them and let me know. Okay. Okay then. Shall I take an off? Hidayatullah, you were not there in the class today, Hidayatullah.
This morning
Okay.
I spoke with him and I think he is a little sick.
Okay. Okay. Shall we meet tomorrow next Sunday?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, Shabnam.
Ma'am, I
Take
have
care.
a question.
Yes, Shabnam, please.
Uh, how long it will take our first semester? How long it will take?
I have, that's what I was asking you. How many classes have been allotted to you for this subject? Tell me. I'll tell
Um,
you my classes.
only I think we have one class. Besides this class, we have another class.
No, that's not true. This
How,
is
ma'am?
just the, this is just the third class, bacha. This is just the third class.
No, I said about the subject.
So about my subject, which is BSW122, society and this. So we will
Yes.
have class on 4th of Feb.
Mm,
Then
yes.
on I think 11th. Then on 8 means we'll have classes on every Sunday of February. Please
Okay.
try to
Okay.
understand that. Yes, we will have
Yes.
class every Sunday of February.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Even I got scared. One class only left. I said, we just started the syllabus. How come one class? Shabnam, please don't do this. Okay. Okay, take care. And then we'll study next block next Sunday. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Ah, Hidayatullah, now he came after the class is ending. Yes, Hidayatullah. Unmute yourself.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I
It's
was
okay.
just.
It's You are not well.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, it's okay. It's okay. So,
I was fall down few minutes ago.
oh,
I'm sorry.
take care of yourself. It's
Thank
okay.
you, ma'am.
I'll send you the PPT. Mute yourself, Hidayatullah. So I will send you the PPT. Try to learn, understand that, and if you have some problem, Hidayatullah, ask a question on the group, and I'll answer your question. Okay? No problem. Don't worry. Rest.
Okay, ma'am. Thanks.
Okay. Let's meet next Sunday. Thank you. Take care. Have a good week. Take care of yourselves.
Thank you, teacher.
Goodbye.
Thank. Okay. Thank you.